The news comes to you compliments of KFC. It's finger licking good. With the news, I am Ruth Wilson. Good evening. First, the highlights. The town clerk tells the mayor that he is wrong on the 2021 subvention to the city. New types of domestic violence offenses and new protection orders are in the pipeline. In the region, Barbados' Mia Mottley sworn in for a second straight term after yesterday's clean sweep of all 30 seats. And the spread of the Omicron variant in St. Martin appears to be slowing down. Internationally, hackers have stolen vital information about millions of vulnerable persons around the world from the Red Cross. Details of these and other stories in a moment.
Planning to watch TV or listen to the radio or just enjoy a lime? Then grab a bucket of KFC finger-licking good chicken and enjoy the exciting taste of KFC and their branches on Vicinjan Road, Mandela Avenue, Regent Street, Ink Street, Stabrook Square, Breeden Hoop, Parika, Movie Town are now at the Amazonia Mall at Providence. Now open from 9 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. You'll always be enjoying the great taste of KFC.
It's finger-licking good.
And now for the news in detail. Town Clerk Candice Nelson on Thursday chided City Mayor Ubraj Narain for stating that the central government did not provide a subvention for last year. In a letter to the mayor, she also provided details on how the allocated 30 million Guyana dollars was spent. In the wake of Mayor Narain's claim that President Irfan Ali has ignored his request for the subvention, Ms. Nelson dispatched a letter to him stating that subvention was provided for agreed works contrary to public pronouncements. The town clerk says that, as agreed by both parties, the subvention was used for the construction of the administration building and payments were made to Dave's Construction and Supplying Establishment, the town clerk told the city mayor. The money was disbursed by check on April 30, days after the then town clerk submitted additional information for the work program for the subvention. The current town clerk also told the mayor that more than $16.4 million was paid to the company on November 15, 2021, and $13.5 million Guyana dollars on December 21, 2021. The mayor had told the Minister of Local Government on December 2, 2021, that no allocation of subvention was given to the City Council for 2020 and last year. But at the same time, Mr. Narain described the 30 million Guyana dollars as a grant towards the administration building. President Irfan Ali on Thursday welcomed the re-election of Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley. She swept back to power in a snap election that saw her Barbados Labour Party clinching all 30 seats. President Ali, in a congratulatory note, told Prime Minister Mottley that her re-election provides them the opportunity to concretize plans and programs that they have discussed. The two leaders have discussed the training of about 6,000 Guyanese for the hospitality sector, as well as several initiatives to improve trade and other types of business. The groundwork has been laid for amendments to the Guyana's Domestic Violence Act. The recommendations are contained in an analysis of the 1996 Domestic Violence Act and research under the European Union United Nations Spotlight Initiative. Among the recommendations is the need to provide for family violence, economic, emotional, and psychological violence. The consultants analyzed the existing Domestic Violence Act and also recommended that the penalties be updated for breaching protection orders. According to the Department of Public Information, the consultants also say that the law should also provide for batterer intervention programs and counseling. Human Services Minister Dr. Vindhya Prasad is quoted as saying that the recommendations and analysis will be used as the basis for further discussion. The minister also reportedly recognizes the amending the Domestic Violence Act will impact on other laws, including the Evidence, Custody, Contact, Guardianship, and Maintenance Acts, to give full effect to the recommendations. She promised to engage the Attorney General's chambers as the next step, as the Guyana government is focused on tackling the scourge of domestic violence at all levels. The United States is assisting Guyana's Civil Defense Commission to strengthen its maritime oil spill prevention, planning, and response capabilities. The American Embassy says that the assistance is being provided by the United States Coast Guard with support from the United States Department of State's Energy and Mineral Governance Program. According to the embassy, the 6-month series of joint activities are also designed to assist Guyana in the development of a reliable national response system. The embassy explains that a virtual risk assessment workshop is scheduled for this month to build upon the progress Guyana has already made with the development of their national oil spill contingency plan and oil spill response capabilities. The U.S. Coast Guard facilitators will guide the participants through an assessment of possible oil spill scenarios in Guyana to identify the most likely and most consequential scenarios. The results will be used to identify possible improvements and update Guyana's national oil spill contingency plan. Other activities in 2022 will include virtual exercise program management training and in-person exchanges to observe oil spill response exercises. The U.S. Embassy says this partnership is part of the continued U.S. support for energy governance and commitment to regional security to help Guyana build its disaster response capabilities. You're still with us on News Talk Radio Guyana 103.1 FM. It is 18 hours 7. You're still listening to us also on Facebook and YouTube. We now turn to news in the region. The leader of the Barbados Labour Party, BLP Mia Mottley, was this afternoon sworn in for a second straight term as the Prime Minister of her country. The BLP made a clean sweep of all 30 seats at yesterday's snap elections. Ms. Mottley took the oaths of office before President Sandra Mason.
I, Mia Mottley, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Barbados according to law, so help me God. I, Mia Mottley, do swear that I will be faithful and loyal to Barbados, and I will uphold the Constitution and the law. And I further swear that I will conscientiously, impartially, and to the best of my ability discharge my duties as Prime Minister. So help me God.
Reacting to concerns about Barbados possibly becoming a one-party state, the Barbadian Prime Minister told a BLP victory rally early this morning that her country's constitution provides for a party to win all the parliamentary seats.
It would be remiss of me not to address this one issue, because we went into this election with people accusing us of wanting to have a one-state, one-party state, when in truth and in fact, our Constitution admits in a multi-party democracy of the people giving all of the seats to one entity. I am a child of democracy.
Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley. Still in Barbados and in related news, the president of the Democratic Labour Party, Verla de Pisa, says low voter turnout contributed to the crushing defeat at the hands of the Barbados Labour Party. Ms. De Pisa conceded defeat, but said that something must be done to increase the number of voters.
It was a reckless time to call an election. The depressed voter turnout continues to be worrisome, and we do have to look for ways to address that before we find ourselves in a position where we've lost our democracy without intending it.
The president of the Democratic Labour Party, Verla de Pisa, she says that her party will discuss the future of its leadership and review its overall performance at the snap election that was held yesterday. The Election and Boundaries Commission blocked an estimated 5,000 persons from voting because they were COVID positive. Students across the Bahamas will return to school campuses for in-person learning on Monday. The Ministry of Education, Technical and Vocational Training says it made the decision on the advice of the Ministry of Health and Wellness. The Education Ministry says that there was a need for all to exercise extreme caution and adherence to the established health protocols. In addition, mask wearing and sanitization is mandatory along with social distancing and temperature checks. There also will be the implementation of staggered breaks, outdoor eating, and quarantine and isolation where applicable. The announcement should prove welcome news for some parents who had been advocating for weeks for schools to reopen in a face-to-face setting. They had planned to demonstrate later this month for schools to reopen. Some parents were yesterday questioning how Fusion Superplex was being allowed to launch a virtual supervision program at its facility on Gladstone Road while schools were closed to in-person learning. Officials had planned to reopen public schools in the second week of January with a hybrid model involving face-to-face instruction. And in St. Martin, the Regional Health Agency has reported 1,580 new COVID-19 cases in St. Martin in its January 10 to 16 health bulletin. The agency also reports that a further 271 new cases were reported as of January 17 in week 3 from 1,908 tests, taking the total number of new active cases to 1,851. The rate of infection appears to be slowing down, as in its January 3 to 9 bulletin, the St. Martin Regional Health Agency had reported 2,561 new cases. The agency does not give the figure for recoveries. Total accumulated cases since the beginning of the pandemic is 9,414. The health agency added that one cluster is under investigation in St. Martin. As of January 19, Louis Constant Fleming Hospital in St. Martin currently has 20 COVID patients. There have not been any evacuations or deaths in week 2. The death toll is still 60 in St. Martin. At 18 hours at 13, we now bring you the international news from the BBC.
Hello, this is the BBC News with Fiona MacDonald. A huge explosion in Western Ghana has all but destroyed a village. There are fears many people have been killed in Apiate near the town of Bogasu. Police say the blast happened when a truck carrying explosives to a mine collided with another vehicle. Rescue teams are searching for survivors. Will Ross has the latest.
This was an extremely powerful explosion that's left hundreds of buildings completely flattened. The community of Apiate is in ruins, homes and shops reduced to piles of wood, smashed bricks and twisted metal. Bodies have been pulled from the rubble. We don't yet know how many lives were lost. Ghana's president described it as a sad, tragic and unfortunate incident and has promised government help for the people of Apiate. Ghanaians are questioning whether there are strict rules and safety checks governing the transportation of large quantities of explosives on the country's busy roads.
The former Pope, Benedict XVI, has expressed shock at the sexual abuse of children by clerics after a report accused him of failing to take action in 4 cases in Germany. A spokesman said Benedict needed to examine the full document, which was commissioned by the Roman Catholic Church. From Berlin, here's Jenny Hill.
The world came to know him as Pope Benedict XVI, but in the late 70s he was Archbishop Josef Ratzinger, presiding over the German diocese of Munich and Freising. It was here that, according to the authors of today's report, he failed to act in 4 cases of child sex abuse. They say he knowingly allowed several priests who'd been convicted of crimes against children to work in the diocese. The former pope, who's now in his 90s, has always denied wrongdoing.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has responded to comments by Joe Biden about the threat of invasion by Russia. On Wednesday, the US President appeared to suggest that a minor attack might bring a weaker response from Washington and its allies. Mr. Zelensky said there was no such thing as a minor incursion. He urged Western governments to take action against Russia.
Our partners need to be effective, not just in words. What is important is not just information about what Russia can do or what the world will do in this case, but naming specific sanctions, measures that the whole world is prepared to take.
Moscow insists it isn't planning to attack, despite gathering tens of thousands of soldiers on the border. Austria has moved a step closer to becoming the first country in the European Union to require all adults to be vaccinated against COVID. The lower house of Parliament in Vienna approved the measure by a large majority. Critics say millions of Austrians will be made second-class citizens when the measures begin to take effect next month. In France, people will be required to show proof of vaccination to enter restaurants from Monday. BBC News. Sudan's military chief, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, has appointed 15 ministers to a new government. The move comes almost 3 months after he seized power in a military coup which derailed a planned transition to elections. Since the coup, there have been frequent protests in which more than 70 protesters have been killed by the security forces. A jailed Cuban dissident and artist, Luis Manuel Otero Alcántara, has begun a hunger strike and is refusing to receive visitors. He was arrested in July as one of the leaders of the biggest street protests against Cuba's communist government since the 1959 revolution. Leonardo Rocha reports.
Mr. Otero Alcántara is one of the leaders of the San Isidro movement, a group of artists, journalists and intellectuals who first gathered 4 years ago to demand freedom of expression and the end of government censorship in Cuba. Other dissidents say his health is frail and his life could be at risk if he continues to reject all food and water. Mr. Otero Alcántara went on hunger strike last year after being placed under house arrest, but was forcibly taken to hospital. In a social media post, his partner Claudia Henglui wrote he won't survive another hunger strike.
Colombia's Supreme Court has resumed a debate on whether to decriminalise abortion. Currently, it's only allowed in cases of rape or when there's a risk to the life of the mother or the baby. The session was suspended 2 months ago when a judge expressed pro-abortion views. Meta, formerly known as Facebook, has removed a network of fake accounts linked to Iran, which targeted Instagram users in Scotland and England. The social media giant said the users posed as local people in both countries. Some of the content promoted Scottish independence from the UK, shared criticism of the British government and posted content about Saudi Arabia. BBC News.
And that's the news to the moment.
Hit to stand in lines? Don't worry, KFC has got you covered with their drive-thrus, which are open now from 9 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. at Movietown, Vlissingen Road, Mandela Avenue, Reading Hoop, Parika and the Amazonia Mall. That's right, you can drive through at 6 of their 9 locations. Remember, their current opening hours are 9 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. Go on down and let your taste buds savor the spices today. KFC.
It's finger-licking good.
To end the news, here's a recap of the highlights. The town clerk tells the mayor that he is wrong on the 2021 subvention to the city. New types of domestic violence offences and new protection orders are in the pipeline. In the region, Barbados Mia Mottley sworn in for a second straight term after yesterday's clean sweep of all 30 seats. And the spread of the Omicron variant in St. Martin appears to be slowing down. And internationally, hackers have stolen vital information about millions of vulnerable persons around the world from the Red Cross. The news came to you compliments of KFC. It's finger-licking good.
This has been the news, compiled in the News Talk Radio newsroom. For ongoing updates, visit demerarawaves.com, and you can check facebook.com/demwaves and twitter.com/demwaves.